Naruto is a story about love by Sage's Reign.
Because you're my friend.
Gaara says that loneliness is the most painful thing in the world. And Haku, even earlier on, says that accepting that no one wants you and that you are unnecessary is the most painful thing. That is one of the core messages that the story of Naruto conveys. It's not just loneliness though, it's the feeling of not being understood, not being given a chance, and then being told that you don't deserve to be understood. That your life, your existence, truly has no value or weight. No one cares about you. No one in this world desires to save you. You don't deserve to be saved. For Gaara and Haku, they were hunted by those around them. They had parents who wanted to kill them. They were told that in that world, they don't deserve to live. When Gaara sees Sasuke's eyes, he sees a mirror of his own. He tells the Uchiha that he's got eyes that know real isolation, and eyes that recognize it as the greatest pain in this world. Sasuke's loneliness has been forced on him by Itachi. Coupled with the fact that he is a naturally more distant, more introverted person, the pain that he has to carry and the burden of being the Avenger is one that he feels that no one can truly understand. Sasuke says that he considered Naruto's desperation to create bonds and his desire to not be alone as a weakness. So he trained as if creating those bonds and as if trying to move past or recreate a sense of family and love that he had lost would strip him of his anger and his fuel to gain revenge. Which can partly explain why he was so reluctant to open up to anyone. But it's this very sentiment that echoes throughout the Shinobi world, this belief that bonds are what makes people weak. Shinobi live a lonely life by design. I'll always think to Kakashi, who lived a few Shinobi lives in his own life. Lost his father, lost his best friend, forced to kill his other teammate, and lost his teacher. He should be the one ready to abandon all of his remaining friendships. And yet, he is the very first person to introduce this idea in the series that choosing love over anything else is the correct decision. As early as the 12th chapter, Kakashi says the line that defines him as a person, which is that he will never let his comrades die. Haku, a few chapters after that, would go on to say that when people are protecting something truly precious to them, that is when they become strong. When Sasuke first introduces himself to the team, the Uchiha has big goals and he claims that he won't die until he has a chance at Itachi, that nothing would stop him from getting his revenge. Sasuke never had anybody precious to protect. That was taken away from him by Itachi. Because he was shunned by the village, he didn't see any worth in having these relationships. In Team 7, aside from a moment of common ground, he never really saw Naruto as anything other than annoying. Someone who desires acknowledgement can never be strong by their own merits. But when he and Naruto are fighting Haku, he notices Haku about to deliver a fatal blow to his teammate, and suddenly he jumps in front of Naruto's body to protect him from the incoming attack. Sasuke takes a fatal blow for Naruto, and the Uchiha says that his body just moved on its own. Sasuke saves Naruto for no real reason. He wasn't in Naruto's debt for doing the same earlier. He didn't do anything to prove to Sasuke that he deserved to be saved at that moment. At this point, Naruto was just a teammate, nothing more. And yet Sasuke was willing to throw all away his big dreams and goals to save him. This is the moment for me that represents the true breakthrough for Sasuke and Naruto.
I think that it comes down to there is absolutely Naruto is a story about war. It is a story about tragedy. It is a story about bonds, both the creation and the breaking of them. And the entire of Shinobi history is just war torn, back from even before Hagoromo and Hamura, right? Before the Otsutsuki intervention, we had the whole feudal era back then, and then we had the Kage kind of reset kind of thing, and then down through Shinobi history, especially the Indra and Ashura reincarnations, we have a history that is incredibly war torn, and leading into Naruto, where everybody is a child soldier, and that comes with a lot of trauma. That comes with a lot of dubious alliances. We can see that with Danzo and Kabuto, right? Kabuto specifically being used as a child soldier, a child spy, and his identity being effectively fabricated over time to his adoptive mother to the point she no longer recognized them, and they were seen as two assets that needed to get rid of each other. And that's where you have the whole no Kabuto moments, and then thus leads to Orochimaru taking advantage of that. But Gaara, yes, had an awful, awful childhood. Sasuke had an awful childhood after what happened to the Uchiha clan. I'm very specifically dancing around specific words because of YouTube. But like, Sasuke in that moment, even feeling just as a teammate, to feel like he has something there with somebody is enough for him to start doing actions like this. It's enough for him to start being compelled to do things selflessly. And there is absolute merit in subtle storytelling like that. I absolutely love it.
The two of them constantly bickered and competed as foes, but like the reincarnated shinobi before them, there was a deeper level of understanding that words couldn't do justice. The deeper understanding was always loneliness, but also love. Without Sasuke's family and clan, he needed somewhere to place that great love he had for his people. He desired someone precious. His body chose the one person who understood him greater than anyone else. And so they each found a friend who wanted the exact same thing as the other, to become strong enough to achieve their goals. Haku once asked Naruto that if he had found someone in his life who more than respected him, someone who more than acknowledged his existence and even cared for him, wouldn't that person ultimately become the most important person in his life? Naruto thinks to Iruka when he's asked that, but Sasuke sacrificing himself for Naruto allows Sasuke to eclipse Iruka and anyone else that could possibly be in that position. Because he finally found someone who could truly understand him, someone who was just like him. He found someone who was ready to do anything for him. This is the moment where Sasuke becomes someone truly precious to Naruto, and Naruto's body reacts to Sasuke's heroic act. From here onwards, Sasuke becomes the #1 priority for Naruto, above anything else, even above becoming Hokage. Naruto and Sasuke diverge through the interjections of Orochimaru and Itachi. Itachi torturing Sasuke by putting him in a Tsukuyomi to relive that day for another 24 hours leads Sasuke to believe that he deserves to be lonely because he wasn't strong enough to protect his family. So he accepts Orochimaru's power and says that he will do whatever it takes, even sell himself to the devil, if it means gaining the strength to take his brother down. In their first battle at the Valley of the End, Sasuke claims that two high-level shinobi are supposed to be able to understand each other without even speaking. Yet here, Naruto cannot truly understand Sasuke.
I will say that as somebody that does sparring, right, like SCA and stuff, sword fighting and stuff, it is entirely possible to have a non-verbal communication through an exchange of blows. It's actually quite lovely. I can attest to this firsthand.
He claims to and he tries to, but he doesn't truly understand what it is to know familial love and then lose it. He doesn't know what it's like to really know hatred and crave vengeance like Sasuke does. Naruto tries through sheer force to prevent Sasuke from being ruined and falling down this path. But what this fight also says is that when it comes to our loved ones, it's not enough to meet them on our terms. Love is not only that intense desire that Naruto has to protect his friend, but love is to understand, to fundamentally understand the person you're dealing with and what they've been through, to meet them on their terms, and to understand why they feel the way they do, and to understand what factors have influenced their choices.
And I do think that is unfortunately a modern misconception, especially in modern, not even just modern dating culture, but just modern relationships as well, being incredible, like platonic relationships, is that love is not a one-way street. You can love somebody, but they can also not love you back. If I were to say, be in a friendship or relationship with somebody that had no idea what I was talking about, but I loved everything that they did, do you think there's going to be much of a common ground? It's about understanding each other. It's about communicating with each other. It's about not necessarily being clones of each other, having everything in common, but enough in common or a thing in common that you guys can meet with, and you guys can find that common ground, that you can grow together, and or even if you're apart, or at least grow parallel alongside each other and improve and continue to progress. I think that's what gets overshadowed a lot, especially in modern, really, society, especially where everybody is so closed off and everybody is so just against being with other people or against giving other people chances and stuff. And absolutely, there are certain people you should not give your time to, especially if they start exhibiting red flags. What I can say is that no relationship, friendship, bond is going to be perfect. There's going to be stressors, there's going to be growing pains and pain points. That's just to be expected. And oftentimes you'll have one party that understands, say in Sasuke's case, pain, tragedy, hatred, vengeance, and Naruto, who wants to protect his friend, wants to save his friend, but doesn't understand the reasons why he's doing what he's doing, thusly, fueling Naruto on his own growth journey. And sometimes at a time, sometimes it's not the right time. This isn't saying go get back with your ex by any means. Sometimes you're the right person at the wrong time, and that leads to the wrong situation you have to move on from.
This fight opens Sasuke up as a character. For someone whose world is ruled by hatred, love ripples throughout his character. Of course, he is someone who loves so intensely that when he has love ripped away from him, it fuels his hatred to burn that much stronger. This entire battle is him trying to prove that his hate is enough, that his hate can move mountains, that he has enough hate to do what needs to be done. And yet, he's unable to kill Naruto. The love that he has for his closest friend outweighs the hate he has for Itachi. But of course, the young Uchiha ultimately leaves the village. By the time their second battle comes around, over 230 chapters and 3 years have passed. Naruto has now learned about the curse of hatred. He gained a father figure in Jiraiya over the past few years and lost him. He lost Kakashi and the village temporarily. He lost Gaara temporarily. He mourned all of these people, even if some of their deaths weren't permanent. He's matured. But back at Orochimaru's hideout, he tried once again to appeal to his best friend. But Sasuke seemed so distant. One thing this series does so well is to offer a sense of perspective. It is so tiring to see Naruto repeatedly go through the same journey, trying to get Sasuke back, when it seems as though the Uchiha really is a lost cause. Coming out of the Five Kage summit, what felt like the entire world was clamoring for someone to kill Sasuke, and Naruto had a panic attack because of it. Sasuke had essentially become a terrorist in their world, attacking Killer Bee and the Cloud,
I do think that a lot of people forget that the Akatsuki were not exactly the most legal and the most ethical organization. They were effectively that. They were terrorists in setting. They were 100%. The Akatsuki were hired mercenaries to do dirty work for villages and entities. I think that often gets overlooked.
Gaara, the Raikage, and invading the Five Kage summit, then killing Danzo, waging war on the Leaf. Even the Konoha 11 were ready to take their former teammate down. After his very first fight with Sasuke, Jiraiya begged Naruto to leave Sasuke behind. It is the tragic path of self-righteous fools, he said. History is against him. His own DNA is against him in this fight. It is the nature of the shinobi world for bonds to be severed. Shinobi are tools to be used by their nations. It is the very nature of the shinobi world for individuals to be alone. That's what these tools signed up for, right?
And that's, unfortunately, another misconception. Everyone's a soldier, everyone's a number. There are people behind that. There are individuals, each with their own story, their own lives, their own trials and tribulations, their own upcomings, their own upbringings, their own successes, their own failures behind each of those statistics. So yes, they are ninja, they are shinobi, they are tools, but they're also people. The world of Naruto is incredibly filled with trauma and really just coping. There's a lot to pull out of the series.
The very threads of fate are against him. Hashirama and Madara also quarreled. Hashirama was once like Naruto, unwavering in his belief that Madara was actually a good person, that he was someone worth keeping alive, because, like Sasuke, Madara understood Hashirama on a level that couldn't really be explained or understood by anyone else. Madara and Hashirama were able to reconcile and defy the fate that their clans were meant to follow for a time, until Tobirama and other factors were able to get into his ear, and he slowly and systematically severed that relationship through the systems of the Shinobi world. Madara astutely noted that Hashirama had changed fundamentally. He notes that his friend was not the kind, loving kid he used to be. There was a time where Hashirama recognized the faults in the Shinobi world, a time where he would never give up on his friend. And the first Hokage explicitly states how he believed that the village was more important than his friend. Hashirama's Senju explicitly chose the Shinobi world and its creed over love. Jiraiya is another example of someone who gave up on a friend. Back in part 1 of Naruto, he tells the Jinchuriki that Sasuke is exactly like Orochimaru, that he will turn out just like him, that he was a fool for chasing his friend. Jiraiya chose to sever that bond. Obito, because of the shinobi lifestyle, is disillusioned by the shinobi world, and he directs his anger towards relationships, believing that it is because these bonds were formed that he feels the pain that he does. So he advises against love, against friendship, saying that it only brings pain and suffering.
He addresses the correct issue, but not the correct solution. He's absolutely right in that these bonds that he formed, these relationships that he formed, led to the pain and the emotions that he's feeling. He is identifying the correct cause of his current issues. The incorrect solution that he proposes is to sever it all, to fire off the infinite Tsukuyomi and create a world, sharing Madara's vision of only winners, a world of no losers, a world that is completed and sealed and hollow and a shadow of what it actually could be. He is addressing the correct problem, but providing the incorrect solution, and thus leading into more of a downward spiral for himself, where there's no feeling of completeness, and he is consistently continuing to fall into that abyss.
Itachi, of course, though manipulated, chose the village, the system, over his clan. But Naruto's stubbornness, and more specifically his desire to understand, are his two most incredible gifts. His rare empathy in a world that doesn't think twice about the opponents in front of them is such a stark contrast to so many others. Even after killing Jiraiya, Naruto listens to Nagato's point of view. Now, here against Sasuke, the Jinchuriki changes his approach to dealing with his best friend. Instead of trying to pull him out the darkness, to forcibly take him back, he now understands Sasuke's rage and desire for vengeance. He had the same feelings when he fought Nagato. Naruto can now see how much the Uchiha loved his brother and how much his clan meant to him. He can understand what it means to bring honor back to his family. More than that, he understands the events that led up to this point. He empathizes with his friend, acknowledging that he very well could have been dealt Sasuke's hand in his own life. So instead of trying to force Sasuke to return, he instead tells Sasuke that he wants to share his burden of hate. Throw it all to me, only I can fulfill that duty. That battle with Haku is really what set this all in motion. Sasuke's sacrifice started it all. For Naruto, Sasuke already proved himself as someone who would do whatever to save a friend. Now this is Naruto returning the favor. When Naruto says that it hurts him when he sees Sasuke hurting, that is where it all began. There is a level of humanity that Naruto as a series aspires to translate, and its obsession with bonds and choosing love over the system is ultimately what seeps through. The only way to stop this cycle of hatred and violence is through love. Hiruzen, Hashirama, and so many other shinobi state that their goals are to leave the world a better place for the next generation. But that was never looked at through a lens of care, because shinobi are fundamentally opposed to these ideas. The White Fang took his own life because of how he was treated after he chose his comrades over the mission. So why would anyone else do the same? Time and again, Kishimoto suggests that loneliness deprives us of our humanity. It robs us of the greatest joy, the greatest aspect of our humanity, which is the ability to love. The ability to love others and form connections and meaningful relationships. These bonds give meaning to our lives and to our existence. The characters who choose against that don't succeed, and some characters even come back to recognize their failures in that department. What brings Obito back to himself, back to the person that he was, isn't the acceptance of solitude. No, it's his connection with Rin. It's in living up to what she expected him to become, living up to the type of person she would approve of. Sasori of the Akatsuki is someone who turned out the way he did because of the loneliness he felt. But in his parents' arms while he died, this was the only time he was able to find peace. Madara's ultimate goal is the infinite Tsukuyomi, the dream world, which he achieves temporarily. But where Madara finds true peace and happiness is in reuniting with Hashirama, forgiving the very man who took him down, because that connection they had was greater than anything. On the other side, Hashirama was happiest dying alongside his best friend, dreaming about having a drink with his war buddy.
I think that that's important to note as well, where piggybacking off of yes, everyone is everyone is a soldier, but there's still a person behind the soldier. There's still someone behind them. Where you have Madara firing off the infant Tsukuyomi and, taking countless shinobi out of the equation, and really at the end they just wanted that connection. They treasured that connection, and because it was in jeopardy, and because staring loneliness in the face, they did things. Hashirama changed as a person, forsaking his former friend and prioritizing the fate of the village, and at that point engaging in the philosophy of the greater collective will always outweigh the one. Where could there have been another option in which Hashirama was able to save Madara? That's up for debate, and hindsight is also 2020, right? You have a situation where people who shared a bond, one of them changes, and the other watches them morph into something that they didn't anymore. They're allowed to be discontent about that. They're allowed to be concerned, and they're allowed to no longer want to engage in that, but also to miss the person that they used to be, to miss that connection. And in severing that connection, there is its own sort of form of pain that comes along with it. It's no different than if a character were to sever a limb, or were to lose a trusted family heirloom or blade, right? Where they're missing something that helped define them. And that's a very real thing. So yeah, generally, people, when they lose a relationship, when they lose a bond, they're not necessarily sunshine and rainbows, or if they are, it's a front and they're sunshine and rainbows on the surface, but they're struggling deep down because they knew that connection, they had that connection, and now they have to learn to continue on without that connection. It can be a very traumatic experience.
What Naruto fears the most is this very loneliness. He calls being alone hell. He knows firsthand what that place feels like, and there are tons of other people who can validate and echo his sentiments. The one thing he will absolutely not fail in is allowing his best friend to face that hell once again. He will not allow Sasuke to bear the world's hatred and darkness alone. And even if he dies, he will make sure that Sasuke dies so that they will have each other in the afterlife. At least in death and past it, he'll still be by his best friend's side. That statement in itself is so powerful, and it's just another testament to how much Sasuke means to him, and how far he is willing to go for him. They both see self-sacrifice in this series as the ultimate form of love, and Naruto here is just trying to return the favor from so many years ago. Sasuke wanted to defeat Naruto to sever his final bond, because the love he had for his friend was too great, too debilitating. Naruto is not the only one who chooses love. Sasuke does so much out of love. When he finds out the truth about his brother, he is able to put aside all of the torture Itachi put him through to choose to love him again, because of how much Itachi meant to him.
It is incredibly true, too. Itachi was someone that meant so much to Sasuke, and Itachi having to engage in the Uchiha clan massacre, which I should be able to say. I don't know, YouTube advertisers are weird, but engaging in that was heartbreaking for Sasuke and devastating, and through all the hatred Sasuke had felt for Itachi, he still held on to those fond memories and those questions of why could he do this, how could he do this, and note that he's searching for answers, even going into the Itachi and Sasuke fight. What did Sasuke do? He had questions for him. He asked, why did you do this? Before I gank you, I have some questions for you. I have a question for you. He never he never stopped trying to rationalize it. And in the end, especially after being able to see Itachi as Edo Itachi and being able to fight alongside him and have some conversations, he didn't necessarily get all his questions answered, but he was able to get that closure and was able to still understand that his brother did love him, still able to see the Itachi that he still harbored in his memories. And that overcame all of his prior hatred for him. Sasuke's reaction to Itachi being used as a tool and a puppet for the village to prevent a coup d'etat was heartbreaking for Sasuke. His entire worldview was shattered. That's why he has the panic attack when Toby has him tied up. His entire worldview is shattered, and he is fundamentally just a different person after that. But how does he deal with that, and how has he really he deals with that the same way he's dealt with everything in his life. He's bottled his emotions, he's quashed his emotions, and he's lashed out at something. He's lashed out at the closest aggressor and oppressor. He's lashed out at the closest thing that he can that caused that issue. It's not that he has an inability to love, it's that he has a tremendous ability to love, but the world doesn't necessarily understand it or understand him. And part of that, part of that's the teenage angst, obviously. Sasuke at the end of Shippuden is 17? Very, very teenage angst. I'm not going to deny that's a part of that. But you even see it in conversations with Naruto and Sasuke, where Naruto will say something, Sasuke seeks an answer. Why do you keep following me around? Why do you keep doing this over and over and over and over again? You're still there. Why are you still here? And he's lashing out, and Naruto says, because I'm your friend. And you can see that it hits him. It strikes a chord with him. But then he'll seal himself back up again, and he'll continue to lash out because he really hasn't been given the opportunity to rest. And also, people do have a lot of expectations of him being the sole heir to the Uchiha clan. People had tremendous expectations. Even before that, he watched his father idolize Itachi being his prized son and trying to compete with Itachi. Sasuke has had to fight for everything his entire life. And it doesn't surprise me that he's tired after a certain point, and he's going to lash out. He's going to continue to push forward and, as said earlier, make a deal with the proverbial devil to obtain the power necessary to overcome his means. Sasuke also runs into the issue where he uses spite and anger and hatred to fuel his goals. But what happens when that's gone? Circling back to the Toby, world-shifting change, the truth revelation of Itachi. Once that hatred, that negativity is gone, how you're done. Your goal has been achieved. It's why in content creation, just do content to spite the haters versus doing it because you love doing it, right? I could do React content just to spite all the people that say I pause too much. Or I can do it because I feel I have insight and commentary on things, and generally I love doing this. It is one of the coolest jobs in the world, if not the coolest, in my opinion, to be able to engage with people on such a scale and to talk to people and to have discourse from people throughout the world. Which of these feels like it's going to have more staying power? Eventually, the hatred and negativity will run out and burn out. If you are passionate about what you do, if you love what you do, if you do it with compassion and positivity, not toxic positivity, that's a little too far, you can achieve a lot more than you did if you were running off of spite, anger, and hatred. Just things to consider when analyzing Sasuke, and the fact that he's not just ignorant of a lot of the things that Naruto says to him. He's aware of them, and he's trying to squash them, and he's trying to overcome them. But in the end, his anger cannot overcome the love Naruto has for him.
How much he dreamt of being like his brother. In the final battle, Naruto represents love as an unrelenting, uncompromising force. His entire character builds up to this moment, both inside and outside of battle. The immense chakra reserves, all of his abilities, the stubborn yet empathetic friend that he's always been, the maturity of his emotions. All of that makes for an individual who, no matter what Sasuke throws at him, he won't lose. And he isn't trying to win either. He's not trying to take his friend out.
No.
The way Naruto fights here is to simply block him. Like one big bear hug, letting Sasuke know that no matter what, he will always be there. He will never be alone. And for Sasuke, this revelation says a lot. That despite everyone he's lost, despite all that he's been through, He's been able to sever every single bond. But for some reason, his love for Naruto remains as the final attachment, the final barrier between him and complete darkness. All this time, Naruto's warmth, his radiance, his presence still lingered on in Sasuke, and he could not understand why. As their battle reaches its conclusion, Sasuke asks Naruto why. Why does he keep involving himself with Sasuke? Why is he so insistent on saving him? And to me, this panel parallels what Sasuke said the day he risked his life for Naruto. Because here, Naruto says that he doesn't really understand it, and it's not like he can control it either. It's just that when he sees Sasuke alone, take on such burdens and suffer, it hurts him as well. And back then, Sasuke said that he doesn't know why, but his body moved for him. And after they discuss this, there is a look of relief on Sasuke's face. It made me think of Madara's last moment of happiness when Hashirama visits him at the end. A look that says, despite it all, he is happy to be with his friend. For a kid that's been through what he has been through, this is what it took for him to realize that he does not need to carry that burden anymore. Sasuke has accepted that he isn't alone anymore. He has finally acknowledged that he wanted to be friends with Naruto and to be just like him all along. He was glad that there was someone just like him, that he was chasing after him this whole time. That look on his face when Naruto says that he feels Sasuke's pain says it all. That's a look of realization, an epiphany. Sasuke finally takes the time to reflect and to process his own emotions. Now I can admit I lost, he says. He can finally admit that he lost the internal battle that he's been fighting. He can accept that he is indeed worthy of being loved. He can accept that it is okay for him to love. He knows now that bonds are the mark of the truly strong. That's what made him strong. Loving others, forming friendships, these are the quintessential human experiences. And that is what makes life worth living. Above everything else, Naruto has always been a story about
Advertent cut? Question mark? Or actually, maybe it was an artistic choice to do that, actually. I kind of like that. If that was meant to be left hanging on these scenes, I think it was great. It's a rhetorical. That makes sense now that I think about it. It's a rhetorical. It's always been a series about love. This was a very, very good video. I liked it. And there were a lot of things led into this. It had a very strong introduction, and it flowed through very, very nicely. Naruto is a story about war and trauma and overcoming as much as it is about love and bonds and the human experience, because it is about the human experiences. Sasuke's reaction to the Uchiha clan massacre is how really any human would react. Itachi being forced into, being one of the only people that can try to thwart a coup d'etat, which would destabilize effectively the local government, the village, right? And face either a hostile takeover from the Uchiha clan in that, and destabilizing, which opens up to attack from the other four great nations and other parties entirely, or to carve out the Uchiha clan from the equation and keep the status quo, is a very hard decision that no one realistically should be able to make. It's no wonder that Itachi bears immense guilt for that, and that he did the best decision that he could at the time. And him threatening Danzo after, like, I will be watching this, and you even see that. That's why he shows up after the Hiruzen's passing, is that he shows up to remind Danzo, I'm still here. You better not touch Sasuke, or else I will come after you, right? And there's so many human interactions in the series. Sasuke being so defiant about Naruto's bonds and so defiant about trying to find his own way to keep going, to keep, even says in his whole speech about reincarnation, and eat from the ashes and survive, right? The key word is he survives. He doesn't thrive. He grows, but not in positive ways. And he keeps going until Naruto proves to be that wall that can finally stop him, and they can find that common ground. And he admits that he lost, that maybe his way isn't the best way to do things. Very thought-provoking piece. I absolutely loved it. You can see why I like Naruto. Very good show, very good series. I absolutely love it. In fact, if part of the inspiration for this outfit actually was adult Sasuke. Not in its entirety, but part of it. You can kind of see it from little cloak the way the coat hangs. Very good character, very good series. It doesn't have its flaws. Yeah, so there's some teenage angst. Yeah, but I would argue these are very human interactions. Let me know what your comments are down below. If you have not checked out Sage's Reign, you should definitely go check out Sage's Reign. Excellent creator, excellent individual, puts on a lot of amazing work. And if you want to see the full unedited, uncommented version of this, definitely go ahead and check him out. But that'll be all for me this time. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it, and I'll see y'all in the next one.